Well, this has been an absolutely wild week. In a way, it is Bibi's fulfillment of a 30-year mission to try to drag the United States into a war with Iran. This latest episode has been part of a long-term idea of Netanyahu, which is we're going to do what we want in Gaza, the West Bank. We're going to control everything. We'll kill, we'll have a genocide, and anyone that objects, any other country in the region, we'll overthrow that government. That's been the basic strategy for 30 years. For 30 years, the United States has gone along with that strategy, whether it is in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Sudan, Libya, and Iran was always the big prize. So Netanyahu's been absolutely itching for a big war with Iran, trying to drag the U.S. in. And what we saw last week probably was the great battle inside between the deep state, which is absolutely in line with Mossad. It's basically a Mossad CIA operation for 30 years. And MAGA, which says, stop, we're sick of this. We're sick of these wars. The president, I don't know where he is because I haven't checked my my social media for the last 30 seconds, but he's been on both sides of this. But his base has been saying, do not do this, do not do this. Whereas Netanyahu has been saying next year in Tehran, or his ministers have been putting that out in disgusting vulgarity. So I don't know whether this is going to stop, but this is a battle of a long-term strategy of Netanyahu, remake the Middle East to give basically complete, total impunity to Israel to do every murder, massacre, genocide that it wants to do. And some of us who think that's not making the world a better place. That's not helping anything, and it's not making America more secure. Well, the Israelis will make new provocations. That's for sure. They will make arguments that now we see the perfidy of Iran, or for whatever argument to keep drawing us in. I have said for years, I think decades now, that the main job of the president of the United States in modern times is to keep the foot on the brake of the war machine, because it's always revving. If you went to the deep state in the last few days, I think bombing missions against Iran are just splendid. Let's try out those B-2s. Let's see how the bunker busters do. And going beyond that, the regime change, well, that was in half the tweets of the last, or social truth posts of the last few days. So I think that Israel will provoke, and it is the job of the United States, when in rare moments presidents do their job, to keep the foot on the brake. And this morning, Trump unusually chastised Israel in a post saying, do not drop that bomb. Well, actually, that's his job. It's pretty interesting. He did it this time. Yesterday was different. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah, I think, by the way, what Medvedev was saying in that point number 3 was not Russia transferring nuclear arms or endorsing that, but the fact that Pakistan is a country closely aligned with the Islamic cause, obviously, and with Iran, and absolutely able to transfer nuclear weapons. North Korea is another case. And I think that's an important point, by the way, because we've been told that the be-all and end-all is Iran's enrichment of uranium. That is not the true issue at stake here. The true issue at stake is Israel vulnerable by its own actions to a nuclear attack on Israel? The answer is yes. Does Israel create more security for itself the way that it operates? My answer is no. It makes Israel more and more dangerous. Not only did we see, obviously, that the Iron Dome ain't so iron, and that there were easily, it was not hard to penetrate the air defenses in Israel. But Israel seems to think that Iran is the end of the story, and it is not the end of the story. There are 57 countries in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation that are absolutely dead set against what Israel is doing. The vast majority of the world is dead set against it. When you ask about Russia and China, it is their fundamental purpose not to be thrown under the bus of the United States. This is the basic point. They want a multipolar world, not a U.S.-dominated world. And they are succeeding in that because the U.S. does not have the means, the power, in my view, the interest, but put that aside, the means or the power to make a U.S.-dominated world, despite what Washington has believed for more than 30 years. So Russia and China are careful. China's very precise. I think it's a cliche, but it's also true that Russia plays chess, China plays Go, and the United States plays poker. One hand at a time, very quick, not any long-term strategy, just go for the hand.
I like that.
I think that China and Russia bided their time in the first days. But the point was, really, Iran was not decapitated and with regime change, nor was it stopped in its ability to do great damage inside Israel up until the very last moment, which really irks the Israelis that it was the last exchange of missiles in this case was Iran's. And then Israel tried to violate the timeline and launch another one so it could be last. And that's when Trump said, no, stop. We already have an understanding about the chronology. So we are watching step by step the emerging of a true multipolar world where other powers that don't love the United States, they don't hate it, by the way, they just don't want to be subservient to it. They have nuclear arms, powerful weapons, the technologies that we have so that we can't dominate. And Iran is a regional power. It's not a pushover for Israel by any means. There was no one strike and it's all over. One of the things that may have happened last week, I don't know, of course, but Netanyahu, telling Trump, we can do it, we can do it, we can do it. And they did their decapitation murders. Mossad really is a murder machine, of course, and it did its decapitation strike, and it did not bring down the regime. And so it probably led Trump and people around him to say, come on, the Israelis have given us a bunch of BS on this. It didn't change the regime. It didn't end the threats. And I think that's when Trump heard his base calling. He heard common sense calling. And he said, look, this isn't going according to plan. And I think the main point is with Russia and China, they were cautious, but they weren't letting Iran fall by any means. And if Iran were to be facing a more cataclysmic set of events in the last few days, I think the reactions also would have been different.